Everyone, welcome to another episode of Dynasty Underdog. I'm your host, Uriah Dawkins. With me tonight, Billy Beeman and Jake Clorn Bloom. What's going on, guys?
Not much. I might be a little short-winded due to my voice. Thank you for giving me an extra day to slightly recover. But this should be a fun show, despite the boys thinking two of the topics I put on here are absolute dog shit. But we'll make it through. I think it's going to be good. How you doing, Jake?
Those topics are ass. I'm doing all right. I'm also coming in at low energy, but that's just because my mentals are low. So I'm going to do my best to not go on dumb monologues like I usually do. How are you doing, Uriah?
Great. This is fantastic. Billy's voice hurts, so he can't talk a lot, and you aren't feeling that conversation. We might get out of here in an hour, bud.
Oh no, we won't. Even on my worst day, it's a 90-minute.
All right. Well, with that, let's hop into some news and nonsense. There's not a whole lot, but should be noted that Michael Penix season-ending surgery. The guy's had a ton of them in his career, which is sad. I guess this kind of opens up the door for maybe opportunity to sell Kirk Cousins or use him if you need him, I guess. And then Aaron Rodgers also, I think, had like a hand or a wrist issue. So I guess something to monitor. But how do you guys feel about that? And does it matter?
Cue the injury prone label in the comments here, Ricky S. I mean, even if you don't believe in injury prone, the guy's had 3 knee surgeries prior to this, or at least 2, and this will be the 3rd or 4th. So that's
Third.
Not good. 3rd, okay, it's not good either way historically. Don't let me put any more bad juju on the guy. But 3 so far. That said, I'm not super interested in Kirk Cousins. What we've seen so far of him is not encouraging. And then I would just say, even if you don't really believe in Penix, this still is probably going to end up being a buy low window that you might want to try to take advantage of, just for the bounce back reason. But I'm not super encouraged by him as a player either, to be honest, from what we've seen. Jake, any thoughts?
No, I basically agree. The only thing I'll add is the totality of the injury history was posted on Blue Sky from the NFL Daily News Blue Sky account. 2018 torn ACL, 2019 fractured clavicle, 2020 torn ACL, 2021 sprained AC joint, and he had a nice little 4-year healthy run. He didn't play that much, I guess, last year, but healthy run with now a 2025 partially torn ACL. Yeah, I would say from a structural ligament perspective, the knee definitely doesn't seem like it's been his best friend in his career so far. That being said, he's relatively mobile, but he's not like a mobile quarterback where you'd consider him dual threat or anything like that. So I'm not overwhelmingly concerned with his longevity, I guess. He'll definitely play out the rest of his rookie contract, and he'll be kind of the 5-year starter that we maybe didn't expect. We probably thought he was going to be a 4-year starter or maybe even a 3-year starter, but the way that they manage the roster there is the way that they manage the roster there. And I think the opportunity still lies. This is a great buy low situation, I think, for anyone who wants to get in on another starting quarterback for the next 3 years. And this is just another great example of probably an NFL team, unfortunately, overdrafting a talent that does have these types of injury histories.
Yeah. Anything on Rodgers?
Yeah. Do we know anything about what it really means?
I mean, they said he's going to try to suit up on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
So and it's not his throwing, you were just going to say. Yeah. So I'm not really super concerned about it. I'm not interested at all in Mason Rudolph. But if you can sell him, do so.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm surprised that we haven't heard more about Will Howard. I know that that's one of those guys that in the offseason was really hyped up about, especially during training camp. He was, when Rodgers came into the building, he was really learning from him. I even saw a couple of videos a few weeks ago that oh, look, even his release is a little Rodgers-esque, that kind of crap. But yeah, I don't know. It hasn't been talked about at all. Probably because they're venturing towards a playoff appearance this year, and the likelihood of them bringing in a rookie quarterback is probably low. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I do think that he's a guy who's worth adding to like any deal you're making if you can just throw him in. Like he's just one of those guys who he had that video in the offseason. He's like super confident in himself. He was a pretty high pedigree player in college. So those are the guys you want to buy into if you're going to buy into any of those.
Good shout.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. So want to talk about this. Maybe we talk about this every year. I don't know, but it's definitely something that gets talked about like on the socials every year. So we're heading into week 12. So in a lot of leagues, you have trade deadlines, and trade deadlines are coming up. And typically, I believe Billy and I have agree on this subject quite a bit, and I also think that Jake does too. But just kind of want to talk about some pros and cons of trade deadlines, and this is all kind of spurred from a post on socials from Clutch Fantasy. Let's see what it says. If this wants to load for me or not. And it is. Oh, that's what you got mad about. Okay. So, anyways, yeah, basically, it was just I don't have to read his post, but he was just talking about how he thinks that trade deadlines are a good thing, and then people respond with how they think about it. So, let's start with Billy. What are your thoughts, pros and cons of trade deadlines?
I'm trying to be quick. I mean, the pros are that there's a lot more opportunity for rebuilders to rebuild, right? And I think that obviously the con is that maybe you think it's unfair for teams to buy a championship. I think that's really the only argument kind of against it. I think having a deadline can offer some, like having a deadline can promote some activity for sure. So I think that there's definitely some pros to having deadline. I think they're just two different things. I prefer no deadline because I think it really gives maximum opportunity for everybody to rebuild if they need to. And I don't think adding one or two players buys you a championship. It doesn't guarantee you anything really. What I really got frustrated by the thread was that somebody said, the leagues I play in pay 5 times league fees to champion. That's the real premium. Rebuilder continues to pay league fees every year while the champion winnings has paid for the league for the next 5 years. Okay, so how does that help the person who's in last place do anything for their team while the teams in the playoffs are going on their championship run? Let's say this one example that was thrown out in the chat was, or in the thread was, it's unfair to buy CMC, in week 14 or whatever it is, right? But let's say CMC, who was just bought by that team, gets injured. You've taken away the ability for all these rebuilding teams to take advantage of that situation and further help their team get to that money that you so greatly treasure, right? So it offers more parity in my opinion. And the idea that the league fee money or whatever matters in this situation is just irrelevant in my opinion. So that's where I'll leave it. Jake, any thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely see things basically the same way. There's probably a reason why the listener leagues all don't have trade deadline. I think it's because we all see eye to eye here. The big thing about trade deadlines that I think you hit on pretty well is that they are there to basically allow or stop a process in which rebuilders would then be able to trade into if something were to go wrong with an asset or go right with an asset. And it's like, there's only so much of a window to take advantage of that opportunity. And in a lot of leagues, depending on how they define playoffs, for instance, medium scoring. I just said median scoring. There we go. Jeez, my brain is toast. Median scoring or what we do in our leagues, typically points for will get you into the 5th or 6th seed. That will also push for teams to want to be trading throughout the majority of the season as well into the playoffs. And so giving a wider, I guess, envelope or view to teams that can actually make it into the playoffs, I think also allows for more trading to happen within the playoffs, because teams that maybe were not necessarily conscientious of their ability to get in are now more likely to get in, and maybe they'll spend even more to continue to participate in the playoffs at a higher level. The thing is that this idea of buying a quote unquote championship is available to everybody who is in the league or in the playoffs if there's no trade deadline. So it's like that one team that was willing to trade away their future assets or whatever the trade might be, maybe it's an injured player for starters, for points, like they're not necessarily buying themselves a championship. It comes at a specific cost. And I think I saw through the thread that was kind of Uriah's argument. Like, I just don't know what the thing is here. Like, if you're selling at a premium during the playoffs, there's a cost there for the team that's acquiring. It's not like they're just winning money. Like, that is part of the game, but also there's so many other aspects and factors that feature into this that you can't really control. To Billy's point, CMC ends up getting injured. You just bought CMC in the semis for 2 firsts. Guess what? CMC now, if he tore his ACL, has basically zero value. Like, you're dealing with a dude who may not ever play again in the NFL. Like, what are we doing here? Why is that an issue? That, if anything, to Billy's point, gives you more opportunity for those rebuilders to now be able to compete in the future that they would never have been able to do. So why are we pushing against that? Like, I'm all for it, and it doesn't have anything to do with the dues or fees that are in my leagues. I just think it gives everybody an equal playing ground to compete, and it also gives everyone an equal playing ground to be able to sell when they're also rebuilding.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I think you guys all kind of hit on my points. Just the one thing I really did want to bring across was that, again, typically, the player that's getting sold is not getting sold at market value. Like, at least it shouldn't be, right? You got to hold these managers to feet to the fire, right? Like, if you really want to get these points, it's going to cost you a premium. And then most of the time, all the trades I see when something like that does happen, it is exactly that. So it's a huge gamble, and it doesn't guarantee you winning the league. And it gets to Billy's point, and I think Jake also is just everybody in the playoffs has the opportunity to do that. You can't be mad if somebody is the one that goes out there and takes the gamble and it pays off for him. Like, you could have done the exact same thing. So hashtag no trade deadline.
Agreed. Real quick here, just going back to the Howard comment. Will Howard spent most of the season on IR. He's getting some chatter this week. So, that could have contributed to lack of, any kind of buzz that he's looking good or whatever. So just a thought.
Cool. Now on to the segments that might suck. No,
my goodness.
No, that's good. Billy brought up, want to talk about maybe roster abnormalities or maybe quirks that maybe we've kind of noticed with our own rosters. Said one tendency, potentially unusual, your builds that constantly are displayed can be a major, minor aspect or feature of your teams, but sometimes a little outside the box, and why. So, Billy, why don't you talk to us about something that you saw that is maybe a little different from your builds?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you were to look at my portfolio, you'd notice it pretty quickly, but I roster not far too many tight ends, but I do a lot of tight end, like bully tight end builds. Definitely across the tight end premium leagues. I mean, you see a lot of my rosters will have a combination of Mark Andrews, Kittle, Hawkinson, right? Maybe throw a Dalton Schultz in there now. And I'll start a lot of these guys, right? And have some success with it too. But I also noticed I do that in like non-premium leagues as well. And I don't know if it's really a benefit there, right? It may be actually a hindrance to, my roster construction. And so this really, came about because it was just kind of a self-evaluation thing. And I was like, oh, it could be helpful to notice some of these, nuances of your builds to kind of, at least mitigate some of the potential downfall of those, right? Because I do think that in a lot of the formats we play, you can create an advantage for yourself with that, which is why I do a lot of that. And I have had some success, though I would say I don't have a lot of Bowers or McBride, which probably just cost reasons, you know what I mean? Mostly because I think I've been able to get the value in Kittle and whatnot. And that may come to bite me down the road, but I think just finding the value players in that top like 5-6 range and having a good group of them can create that advantage for you week to week against other teams. So that's really why I do it. But I find it kind of trickling over to maybe places where it shouldn't in, not every format kind of lends itself to that. So that's just one where I was just like, all right, I think I need to redo the back end of this bench in this one league or this other league, because it's probably a hindrance both to the value on my team and that I have in trade value, and also to the potential upside on those teams. And I'm just like holding on to something that is kind of like a tendency of mine, but doesn't need to be in every single place. So that's just something I noticed and want to maybe just pay more attention to kind of how I'm building things out and make sure I'm doing it in a purposeful manner based on the format. So that's what I got. What do you guys have?
Yeah, it's actually, I noticed the same thing with mine, pretty much setting lineups every week. I'm like, I got like 4+ tight ends on pretty much like all my teams. It seems like I do have some Bowers and McBride, of course, but it's just like, I think it's always like, I call it my tight end garden. And I think I got that from Katie Flower. She used to talk about the tight end garden. And so, every year, like I'll come out of a rookie draft with that, at least probably one of the rookie tight ends, and just like hold on to them. And then I accumulate them. Right. And so I always think about like that Gary Barnage season. I don't know if you guys were playing ball back then, but it's like Gary Barnage, like tight end 3 on the season or something crazy. Like those things happen to see, I think, at the tight end position a lot more often, like just random, like really, really good years. Goddard kind of sort of having one of those in a way this year. So that's kind of like, I don't know. I just always feel like I was having like a tight end there for bye weeks and all that sort of stuff. Like I always feel like there's like value there. I don't roster like super high value tight ends, it seems like, but I just have like a bunch of them, just in case, I guess. And then the other thing I noticed about a lot of my rosters is a ton of my players are players I've drafted, either in the startup or the rookie drafts. There's not I don't have a ton of players on my rosters that like I got through trade. Like it's a small percentage of my rosters. Most of the guys I chose, and I've chosen to keep them. So
that's super interesting. That's actually something good to notice because, like, I mean, it can mean a lot of different things, but you can look into it and be like, maybe I should be more active, or maybe this is a good thing because my teams are doing whatever it may be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's worth noticing. And really quick, I just want to hit some of these comments here. Holy Boomer tight end room. Joe, yeah, that's not great, Bob. Ricky S, AARP on speed dial, isn't it? Yeah, just a quick one here. Imagine a tight end army of McBride, Barner, Theo Johnson, Helm, Dulcich, and Brock Wright.
That sounds perfect.
I don't want to. But just another example, like DU5, where I have Travis Kelce, George Kittle. I have Hunter Henry, Mason Taylor. Like, and so like I'll do it in a couple different ways, right? Like depending on the different builds. It's not exactly like the other one, but again, it's just something I noticed. Like a lot of my builds will have a lot of that. So anyway, Jake, what do you got for us?
Hey guys, that was really nice of you to align so well with your weird tight end obsession. Yeah,
I don't know, just
maybe it's just like you guys talk to each other every single week on this podcast, and then you just both weirdly like really
nothing to do with
really
it.
Dilapidated tight ends somewhere sitting on your bench. Yeah,
Ben Sinnott.
Talk about
I got 2 of those.
I got far more than 2 of those. Fuck.
Yeah, you might as well drop them soon. So I fade aging running back profiles, and I think this is because on one of my first ever builds in Dynasty, I decided to acquire, I think it was Dalvin Cook going into his like last season that he was ever even in the NFL. And I think we look at running backs as just like very elite scoring assets. And so I looked at how bad I am from like my 20+ build. So I looked into my portfolio. I have 0 CMC, Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, and Derrick Henry. Like not a single share on 20+ builds. And I was just like, what are we? Did I really say Asian? Oh, that's pretty amazing. I thought I said aging, but anyway.
I almost made the joke, but my throat, I didn't think it would come through.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah. I'm going to go take a nap after this. But yeah, so specifically aging, I am an ageist, not a racist. I just want to make that very clear to everyone. Like plus 40 years old. Yeah. But not a racist. Anyway, I was just surprised by that. I don't know. I didn't think that I was like intentionally doing that, but I do think that Dalvin Cook really fucked me. So all of that to say is I overspent on Dalvin Cook in my first ever Dynasty build. And yeah, I watched the value just basically die on my roster, and I never wanted to do that again. And so I just immediately wanted to get away from that ever happening. And so the thing that I would take away is that I definitely lean more on dynasty value over scoring at times. And that is maybe a detriment to some of my builds.
Mm.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I definitely am. I'm at fault with that too. That definitely happens on a lot of my rosters where I have maybe I think I have one share of JT. I would like to have more JT. No CMC at all. I think one share of Henry. And sometimes that's a good thing, but we've talked about it earlier this offseason where it's like the elite ones, they generally push through longer than, the tendency of a running back life cycle. So we need to just kind of pay attention to that and make sure that we get a few of those on the roster at the value, right? Because CMC certainly you could get them for a value. So that's a good one to point out as well. All right. I have to hit the comments here real quick.
Please don't.
What's wrong with Asian running backs? Hey man, those Asians don't age. God forbid an aging Asian running back. I'm sorry,
Jake.
Thought Young Wei Koo was about to catch a stray. Oh my god, dude! I heard that too. It was hilarious, but no, yeah, great stuff, guys. Great stuff in the comments. This is what I love here. Laposaurus, Gainwell, the new Linsanity.
Oh.
Oh my god!
Let's move it.
Quite that. Yeah, let's keep it pushing.
We'll keep it pushing. All right. Next topic. That's probably boring. Playoff positioning. With an eye to the playoffs, would your focus be on handcuffs and depth, or optimizing for elite players and consolidating instead? Yeah,
Want me to jump in?
I'll
Or
go
you guys,
first.
yeah, jump in.
Yeah. Because I don't really have anything to say, but I mean, yeah, this is something that we should definitely be looking at like now, last week, and all that sort of thing. Like, should have a pretty good idea where you're at. But we just talked about with the trade deadline and the cost. If you're trying to go get the elite asset, like it's going to cost you quite a bit. It's not going to get any cheaper as you head into the playoffs or advance into the playoffs. So this is something that you want to do ASAP. So early on, like as an example, I did trade for Christian McCaffrey this year, but that was like 6 weeks ago. And I don't think I could have got him for what I got him for this week, what I got him for like 6 weeks ago. Something to keep in mind. But yeah, no, I mean, really just having some depth on your roster really is important. We still have bye weeks coming up. Injuries are still coming up. I just think that whatever moves you make, you really want to make sure that you know exactly where your team's at. If you're sitting in 5th place, but you're like, I don't know, somehow like 8th in points for and 4th in points against, like that's kind of a suspect position to be in. So just kind of, I would say think about those things before making those kinds of moves is all. How about you, Billy?
Definitely good advice. I mean, for me, typically, like we talk a lot about optimizing our rosters in general, right? Consolidating, even if it means that to the more elite assets. And I do believe that, on the whole, but I would be careful depending on, what your team looks like doing that. If it's going to really alter the shape of that roster and remove a lot of the points you have, right? Like you have to make sure that either you have enough depth to fill whatever you're giving up in that consolidation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at least give you basic average points, while I'm sure the asset you got is going to cover a lot of what you're giving up. But you need to make sure that there's that balance there. I don't think you can go too far into it, because I do think you can kind of lose maybe, the position you're in, and it's no guarantee the players you add are going to do what you need them to do, as always. So I think if my team is strong enough, I don't mind going for like the Dalton Schultz, the who's the Panthers running back right now? Rico Dowdle, like those kind of guys who are going to be a little bit cheaper, but have a little bit more like, you have guaranteed points now outside of injury, right? But it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg in your future, right? And it's not going to change the entire chemistry of your team, but it could add 15 plus points into your lineup all of a sudden for a second or something like that, or whatever it may be, right? So I think I fall a little bit more on the side of working towards those cheaper depth pieces that are scoring a little bit outside of their range, their normal range. And so I think that may be a good place to, it also is kind of a benefit going both ways to your team and probably the team that's giving up that player. So it'll probably be a mutually beneficial trade, maybe easy to make, but those are the kind of things that I think may be easier to do than going after an elite asset on what's probably a team that thinks they're contending or something like that, trying to do similar things. So that's where my brain kind of went a little bit opposite of where my brain normally goes. So that's kind of why I threw this on here. Jake, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I would say that it's really build dependent, honestly. And maybe that's because I do tend to build my rosters almost intentionally different from one another in all the leagues that I'm in. So, well, I guess aside from my Asian running back profiles, but outside of those, most of my builds are very different from one another. And so I don't know. Like, I just don't think that there's necessarily a right or wrong way. I think it's just more so about what fits your roster the best. And for me, like, if there's an opportunity in this window to get into profiles that maybe have a little bit more, I don't know what the right word is, like uncertainty, ambiguity, something along those lines of like situational changes that could occur. Like if you're looking at contracts going into that window and seeing that maybe someone who is scoring points now maybe doesn't have as good of a situation moving forward, that's probably someone that I would either try and get off of, even though they're scoring points in the playoffs. And like, I've done that a lot more frequently than I think a lot of people would probably feel comfortable doing. But in the long run, I feel like that's actually helped me out. I know that I did that with T. Higgins when I didn't think that he was going to sign a new contract. And then once he did sign a new contract, I then traded for him again. Like that was in two separate leagues. But regardless, I think that's kind of how I would approach it.
Okay. Anything to add, Billy?
I don't know if Gainwell took some shots there, but Laughing Lizard says, yeah, Gainwell is probably too expensive. I agree, way too elite. I mean, I don't mind adding him for nothing, but I do worry that Warren's going to come back sooner than expected, and you're not going to get what you need out of a guy like that, other than maybe 1 week type rental, or if Warren goes down again, maybe. But Warren said he could get back in the game, I think, last week, so I wouldn't be surprised if he plays, or if it's just a 1 week thing. Not that Gainwell can't have some boom stuff, but just a little worried about the consistency there.
Caleb Johnson.
Oh God, the fact that he can't get touches is.
Hey, he had a really good run last week. He just got called back for a face mask. So
face mask on him. On him.
I wouldn't bring that part up.
Oh my God, that is impressive. Like this guy can't get anything, or even the stuff he does right is wrong. That's amazing. That's maybe it'll be a year or two bump, but yeah,
I have patience.
Oh wait, I just want to see. Wait, does it? Laughing Lizard. I disagree. I wonder, does anybody here have any more value? Think there's any more value in Gainwell, or am I?
I don't know. I mean, just the career he's had. Like, it's not like we kind of know who he is. I guess if Jalen Warren's injury was more serious, I would think. But honestly, like, you could probably trade Rico Dowdle for Gainwell plus. I mean, am I wrong there? Like,
you should get a significant plus right now. I would imagine.
I would think so. Yeah. So
yeah, like you got to be leaning towards a second almost round pick. Like that's what people are trying to charge. Kind of in my experience, going out there trying to get some Rico. Yeah. It's definitely more towards the second round pick range. So maybe 2/3 in Gainwell. If I don't know, could do it. But like, I don't know. Rico's performing really well. I'd try to take everything from the person I'm trading him to if I'm doing that, and that's what everybody on the market's doing as well, seemingly. Okay, we can keep moving.
Cool. Last topic before we get into trades and non-trades. Cash out candidates. So talking about players who are once worth much more but end up worth nothing more than a fourth. Thinking like Christian Kirk type. How do we determine when it's time? So we got a list of players here, and just see if we could talk about whether or not we think it is probably time to get out while we could get something rather than nothing, or find that one manager who still has hope. Because I see a guy on here I still really like. So, yeah, Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney is one of those guys. Obviously, this year has been injury ridden, but honestly, I think I would agree that this is a guy that if, say, he does put up a pretty good week next week, I would be cashing out for whatever I could get.
And like the thought here is too is like Christian Kirk was near a second round pick value, maybe what calendar year and a half ago, right? In that range, maybe. So like it happens real fast. And a lot of these guys on here are worth more than a fourth right now. But the idea is that I don't think they're going to be worth much more than a fourth sometime soon. And that's Mooney, right? Mooney is kind of hovering around like late thirdish range or something like that. So now I feel like is when you want to get out of a player like that. I don't think a 28-year-old Darnell Mooney is going to find much better of an opportunity than he did this year and is going to really be involved like that in the future, other than, I mean, I'm sure he'll have some games here and there because he's a good pro, but in terms of Dynasty and in terms of value on your team, I don't think it's going to be there. So I'd be looking to get out now. And yeah, I don't know if anybody has any disagreements on any of these guys. It sounds like maybe we will, but Jake, any disagreement on Mooney specifically?
He's so tough to understand his value, to be completely honest. There we go. But yeah, I think like the biggest thing that I see with Darnell Mooney is just really about opportunity. And I don't know what his contract situation is like, to be completely frank, but I can see him almost like pivoting into I don't know, Tennessee Titans in like the next year to replace like Calvin Ridley. That would be pretty hilarious, just trajectory wise. And see him turn into potentially a wide receiver 1.5, 2 range. It's not something that I want to be investing in by any means, but I definitely see a path where Darnell Mooney's value could definitely continue to increase and then probably plummet back down to earth. It's just, I don't know if that's necessarily something that I want to be playing around with per se. So yeah, I get the emphasis here, and I understand what the crash out candidates means. Darnell Mooney is one where I think he'll have a little bit more prolonged value than per se Christian Kirk, and maybe that's just because he's also a little bit younger, but he is just as unfortunately market fragile. So I get why he's here.
Okay.
He might even turn into a Van Jefferson.
Yeah, exactly.
He says Mooney's hovering around the waiver wire.
Yeah.
And maybe that's Jake's point, is that his value will rise a little bit from that, and then maybe you can get out there. But again, I think that's a dangerous game to be playing, even though it's low stakes. I do think it's kind of dangerous. That said, just want to say 3-year, $39 million contract is what Atlanta gave Mooney, which is probably why they're in the situation they're in. But there's a potential out in 2025. So he will probably be out of there after this year because the cap hit in 26 is $18 million.
Yeah, he's finding a new team, which could be good for everyone involved.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about me. Isaiah Pacheco, a healthy Isaiah Pacheco, they say. R.I.P. Rashad Smith, Kareem Hunt's the go. I don't know what's going on there, but Pacheco is definitely one of those also, right? Really low draft capital. Say he comes back this week and next week has a couple good games. This guy is probably not likely to ever be super fantasy relevant again in the future. Definitely one of those guys I think I would get out on any increase in value from here to the end of the season.
Yeah, I think if you could package him, that's probably best to get the most out of him. But yeah, if I can get anywhere in a couple thirds, maybe round range, is that not possible?
No, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that I don't really see the bounce back of, above a second really coming anytime soon. And so I really see a decline more so in value over time. So that's, again, these are definitely not like slam dunk, like that's going to happen, but that's kind of the conversation here, right? It's like, what are the identifiers? And I feel like this is a good one, right? Kareem Hunt, who is like the ghost of Kareem Hunt, is far outplaying him. Obviously, they want to get Brashard Smith more involved. We've seen that, right? Despite him coming back being a little healthier. And so just in my opinion, I don't see another team really picking him up and him being great over there. I think a lot of his success had to do with being on the team that he's been on, to be honest. Not that he's a terrible player by any means. I just don't think that we're going to see the value bounce back any higher if he goes to another team, right? He's in the best situation he probably could be in. Jake,
and he runs like he eats people.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, never forget that. Yeah, no, I think that's completely valid. I got an offer for you in the trade database: Pacheco and a third for Aaron Jones, 12-team Superflex.
I'd probably take Pacheco in a third and then sell Pacheco. Like, are you going to get much more for Aaron Jones? I don't think anybody's sending you a second for Aaron Jones. Like, I don't think you're dreaming. You know,
I agree.
I don't know. What do you think, Jake? You going Aaron Jones or?
Yeah, I'm probably going Aaron Jones. To be honest, I think
disgusting.
I think he'll just be more relevant for.
Wait, how old is he?
Doesn't I don't think that matters. Like this is a type of move that I would make for like a playoff contender. Honestly, like I would get Pacheco off my team and give up a third on top and try and get into Jones just for like a final, probably roster spot 12 or 13, knowing that Jones might have to fill in at some point. And like I would, if I lose out on Pacheco in a third by next season, like I'm fine with it. I'm like, oh, whoop de fucking do. Like I could have thrown that third at some random running back probably in my rookie draft, but the reality is like I don't want Pacheco, and so like that's why I laughed at Billy's 2/3, because I was like, yeah, you know what, like sure, I would probably be fine if it was a third and a fourth, or maybe even a third. Like get him off my roster. I threw him into a trade when he was still relatively valuable at like touching a first. Yeah.
I won't even say it.
I'm not.
That's for the YouTube.
That one down.
That's for YouTube. Oh my god!
Can we stop live streaming? Like it would be really good for my mentals. No, but in all seriousness, I do think that Pacheco is one of those that definitely fits this category for sure. And I thought that trade offer was like, I almost saw it as Pacheco was the throw-in, and it was like a third for Aaron Jones. You know?
Yeah. No, I see it for sure. Laughing Lizard in the comments, hide your grass. Pacheco is going to stomp on your lawn.
Get off my lawn. Next guy, A.D. Mitchell. I mean, yeah. 0 shares, 0 cares. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I mean, I just think that the trajectory is not going upwards. So if you can get something for him, like this doesn't necessarily fit quite the other profiles we were talking about because they're a little bit older. You know, there's a lot going on there. And I think they fit kind of the Christian Kirk thing more. But this is just one I feel like that is not going to exceed the value that he probably is right now. So I'd be like, can I just go get a third or right now instead of waiting and getting nothing or maybe, a fourth? But still, I think you can probably get a third from Believers now.
Yeah. If you look in the trade database, you're talking about Aaron Jones today, a third yesterday, Deebo Samuel yesterday, a third 2 days ago, Christian Watson 2 days ago, a third 2 days ago. Yeah, I would do all of those trades to get Adonai off my roster. I literally just picked up A.D. Mitchell actually for free in Console Wars. That roster just had a ton of spaces because I think I have 9 players on IR. Like that build is fucked. But thank you to our Lord and Savior, our commissioner Ben, for having an insane number of IR spots in that league. I really do appreciate it. There we go. So yeah, A.D. Mitchell for a third. Get him off my roster.
I
wasn't lying when I wasn't lying when I told you guys today was a terrible, terrible work day. I got to see it.
We love you, Jake. This is, don't worry. Everything's going to be okay. Real quick here. Ricky S. in the chat. I think this is a good one. Monty slowly approaching the AJ Pacheco range. not quite there, but I think he's probably getting there. Maybe
Probably getting there.
maybe next year, maybe towards the end of the year. I don't know. He still seems like there's some juice. But to Ricky's point, I think that they're seeing that they need to get Gibbs a lot more involved in this current iteration of the offense, and they're going to need to pass the ball a lot more to Gibbs. And so that may limit Monty in general, though I think he's a great handcuff still. So there is that. Like if Gibbs were to go down, he does have an immense amount of value still, unlike I think a lot of these other guys. So approaching it though, I do agree.
All right. Next one, Rashad Bateman.
I mean, this guy has gone up and down in value how many times? If he was ever towards the first plenty of times, honestly, and you should have got out there. But I just, not that the Ravens have been like humming necessarily. I just think we've seen enough over time that he's not going to get involved really enough to be usable fantasy option or to maintain any serious value. So for me, if I'm pushing out for a couple thirds if I can do it. Is there anything in the trade database, Jake, that says that's possible, or is it not?
Not really. It's looking like a fourth straight up is what you're going to get. You can, a couple of days ago, actually, you were able to get Kamani Vidal. That's the best deal I see. Tyler Algier. He's borderline cut worthy. Like, if I can get Tyler Algier, like I will happily do that 1-for-1. But this was Bateman plus a third for Algier, and at that point, I might as well just. Yeah. I don't even know if it's worth it. It probably is worth it, honestly. But I'd rather just send the third by itself. I don't know what's crazy in that trade.
Former first round pick, absolutely insane. Like it's bonkers. Okay, well, keep it moving on that one if there's no value there.
All right, Juwan Jennings.
All right, this guy has some value, right? Like,
yeah. So, and you need to sell him ASAP.
I've never believed in Juwan Jennings. I don't believe in him still. We have Ricky Pearsall running sick rats out there, not first read on any of the plays this past week. I have a feeling that's going to change. They're obviously looking George Kittle's way a ton. I do think that there's a real potential here. Also, Ayuk may come back towards the end of the season. Who knows, right? And I think there's a real possibility we slowly see Juwan Jennings' production tick down. But I for sure think, a year from now, a year and a half from now, he's going to be like worth a fourth, almost like he was maybe a year prior to this, right? So if he's going towards second round pick value, which I guarantee you could package something to get there, I'd want to get out right now on that. He may be less value than that, like he may be 2/3, but I think it's definitely that or above. But Jake may be able to tell us here on the trade database.
Yeah, I was just really quickly looking at his KTC value. He's never really creeped up to anywhere near first.
Jennings? No.
Yeah. Well, he did have that really interesting window last year where I think he scored close to like 45 points in a single week, and people freaked the fuck out. But yeah, you can get off of him today, a second and a third. Someone traded straight up Devonta Smith. Someone else traded Juwan Jennings in a first for a first and a second. So a second, basically. Juwan Jennings for a second. Someone traded Juwan Jennings for AJ Brown. That person does need some checking. Rico Dowdle for Juwan Jennings in a second. Juwan Jennings and Goddard for Tucker Kraft. I would be all over Tucker Kraft.
There you go. Yeah, that's the one right there.
But really, it's Juwan Jennings for probably a second or somewhere between a second to a third. Yeah, I don't know. I've always been I didn't want to be a part of the group there and be like, oh, I also hate Juwan Jennings, but I do hate Juwan Jennings. I've never liked how he plays. He's on the field, I think, primarily in terms of what he does off the ball, more than he does on the ball. He is a perfect cog in a machine that we know that works incredibly well. And so he has utilization and utility. I just don't think that he has the ability to ever creep up to a place where you want him on your roster unless you're going to use him. And I think even as a asset, like on your team, he just causes more headache than he does anything else. Like even when he is the only offensive weapon available, he's not consistent. Getting out targeted by Kendrick fucking Bourne, right? So it's like, yeah, I know he was coming back from injury before all the Juwan Jennings lovers out there come into the comments and make fun. But like in reality, I just don't really want anything to do with Juwan Jennings. So yeah, a second plus a third, something like that. If I can add him onto something and get into a Tucker Craft, like by all means, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. The chat's killing it tonight, by the way. Ayuk impact coming back this year needs a wet blanket. That's true. Definitely. Yeah. But I don't think that, this point revolves around that happening or not happening. Also, Jay here, Pearsall took less time to heal from a gunshot than his issues this year. Kind of true.
That's terrible.
Those soft tissue issues, man, they're tough. All right. But all right, so I don't know if these next 4 guys have any value, but we can get through them.
We could do all 4 at once and just see what we think. So the last 4 we have here is Jalen Wright. I'd kind of add Marshawn Lloyd there. I think Jeff did the same year, hoping for the same potential, but probably still has some value. I don't know. Austin Eckler, Dontavian Wicks, and Jonnu Smith. I threw in Eckler here because I traded him away just yesterday, I think, for like Noah Fant, right? So I was like, yeah. Oh yeah, there you go, my tight end garden. But I was like, hey, I don't know if I'm ever get anything for Eckler, so yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, that's fair, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. Jalen Wright just feels like, I mean, he might not have any value, so that's one that I just feel like he's never going to have any value anyway. So if he does, move off. I probably agree on Eckler. Wicks, similar to like Rashad Bateman almost at this point. Like I don't think it's ever going to happen. So if there's any value there, also I'd probably go for a 4th at this point, to be honest, or a couple. He may have more value than a 4th. And then Jonnu Smith. I mean, he's really in a position to succeed at this point. He's with Arthur Smith, and not obviously, but Pat Freiermuth seemingly is, at least making it difficult for him to be consistent. Granted, he's still getting targets here and there. I think that, oh yeah, sure. Darnell Washington too. That's a great point. Both those guys. And so I think that it's going to be tough for Jonnu's value to bounce back once again in his career, right? I think we've seen it maybe for the final time. And so for me, if there's any potential to get out for, it's probably going to be a couple 4ths at this point. I don't know if a 3rd is possible, but I think I'm going to do it, to be honest, at this point. Yeah. Any differing opinions on any of those?
No. The only one that I want to call out is probably Dontavian Wicks. I think Dontavian Wicks and A.D. Mitchell actually have a lot in common here. Just absolutely smooth route runners in the sense of just like being able to create separation and have probably some of the worst fucking hands in the NFL. Like guys who just cannot take advantage of the opportunity of just being significantly open. That just doesn't, for some reason, work. I don't know why. Like you have to get the ball thrown to you 150 times for you to catch it 50 times. Ain't great, So I think we are looking at a situation where Wicks, Wright, and I'll say Wicks and Wright definitely have no value. Eckler, more than likely, will probably be dead in the water, but I do like, yeah.
Make sure he's not
dead. He's not dead. Jeez. Okay. Before anyone makes any other comments about any person's ethnicity, I'm not making any comments. Okay. Anyway, Austin Eckler, I'm still like in for him having some type of value here. And then lastly, Johnny Smith. I've always been relatively off. I think I bought into one share last year in the playoffs for, I think, the final. And dude, if you can get anything for him, I think now's the time.
Okay, real quick here, just a couple comments. The stranglehold Wicks has on the fantasy community needs to be studied, or moths to tiny flames. That's absolutely true.
I was going to bring that up. It's like I think there is still like members of the Wicks hive out there. So I think that,
I do too.
Well, I don't think he's worth anything. I bet there's somebody out there that does think he is.
I bet if you hit a market price board on these guys and you said, give me, 2/4, give me a 1/3, you'd probably get a hit on a couple of these. So it's probably worth doing that kind of thing and seeing if anybody wants to take a swing, and you can come out on the other end. What do you got there? Uriah playing with kitty cats over here in the background.
Yeah,
We also have Darnell Mooney set the record straight on his weight this week. He's 311 pounds, which is absolutely insane for how he runs. That's crazy.
Darnell Washington. Darnell Mooney doesn't weigh.
Did I say Mooney? Darnell Washington.
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, I think Darnell
much more
Mooney
than I
weighs
do.
that minus 200.
We also have Laughing Lizard here. Ping pong paddles for hands. That made me crack up. That's hilarious, which is definitely true.
True.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. There's more comments.
No.
You guys are
You
insane.
should just read through all of them.
Well, get him a coffin for Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
And that's Joe. And then we have Jay here. Zach Charbonnet is in fact Asian. Is he really?
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the few Asian running backs, though. That's awesome.
Not too many.
Shout out.
In the NFL, at least. Yes. I'm sure there's more. Yeah.
Well, actually,
ever just him. Yeah, obviously in the NFL. I'm sorry. Thank you for the caveat, Jake.
I didn't want anyone to think that.
Did we cover any other leagues?
You're right here. Can we please move the fuck on? Yeah, let's keep it going. I think that segment's done.
We will, as always. Well, I looked it up. I think we have like 280 some episodes.
No, we have like almost 300. We're in like 59.
So, yeah. Anyway, trades and untrades. So League of Legends, we had a Saquon Barkley in a 27-second go for Kyron and J-Mo.
Oh man. I think I just want to bet on the Saquon side, to be honest with you. And maybe this is more the J-Mo hate really just seeping in. But yeah, I believe more that Barkley is going to give me the high value points at some point, and I like that there's a 27-second attached to it, kind of. So I just think I can do a lot with that side, even if it means I'm trading out of Barkley soon. I don't know. What do you got, Jake?
I think I like the Kyron side more, honestly. I think from a smaller window of just understanding point scoring, Kyron's going to score you better going into the playoffs. And J-Mo, we talked a little bit about him. I think his usage since Dan Campbell, Soup, decided to take over the play calling has been significantly better. He hasn't just been a boom bust wide receiver, almost called him a running back. God, I need to fucking out myself at this point. And I do think that you could probably get a first for J-Mo, and Kyron and Saquon I don't think are that far apart in dynasty value anymore. Like I know we want to help Saquon as much as we can from a like dynasty lens, but the fact is Kyron's 25, Saquon is what, 29, and he is going on 29. All right, whatever. Age is age, and this
is the aging running back thing.
he is. He's aging, and so I think this is the type of move that I would personally do. But I thought it was really funny because. Oh, amazing comment.
In the comments here, got to stop for that Forrest girl. I'm Uriah's daughter. Welcome in, young one.
Welcome in. I was getting concerned there. I was like, I really hope that just means that that's actually his daughter. And
I'm watching it live.
She's actually watching it on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Shout out.
Hey, you can comment. Someone said
I did. I said I'm Uriah's daughter.
Oh, that's her.
That was.
I'm Forrest girl.
I'm dead, dude. This is insane.
All right. I don't know what my point was, but yes, Kyron and J-Mo I think is the better side.
All right. Well, let me bring us back here. I will say, I mean, I think you bring up a lot of good points, and I don't think that's like a bad take by any means. Barkley's still obviously very involved. He had 22 or more carries in the last two games, despite them not being great. And he had a 31-point game before that, granted, against the Giants. So, put that in there. He does have a decent schedule. Dallas, not as easy as they used to be. I'll give you that. But Dallas, Chicago, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Washington, Buffalo. Like, I think he also has an opportunity here to kind of pick it back up. So, yeah, I think Jake does bring up a lot of valuable points, though. That side may be the side to have, and the side with more value longer term.
All right. Dynasty Underdog Listener League 2. we had Jamar Chase and Hunter Henry go for Kyron, Kelsey, 26 first, which should be late, and 27 first, which should be mid to late, and 28 first and 2/3. Oh yeah, it's like, why is there so much? Oh yeah, Chase. So 3
You're on
first.
mute.
I made a stupid joke. I said Chase Brown. Anyway.
Idiot. All right, sorry. What do you think?
think? Yeah, so 3 first for Chase. Hunter Henry's one of your thirds, I guess. Yeah, man. I mean, if I'm rebuilding and I have acquired a bunch of picks, I'll pick up Chase for that and send them off to like Kyron and Kelsey to a contender. I can see how this could work for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, I know who did this trade, so I know that it's actually not a rebuilder. It's somebody who's contending, but I think they have enough depth to keep it going. And I think the idea here was adding some pieces that obviously aren't Chase, but are still going to provide some points as well. So it kind of can potentially continue contending if needed, but also enough value, I think, to move off of Chase. I think at this 3 first, like, what are you ever going to get more for Chase? You know what I mean? And I agree with what you're saying, Uriah, is that like you can also sell these Kyron and Kelsey pieces quickly if you're, if you need to and if you are rebuilding. But this gives you some flexibility, I think, as a kind of, team on the edge of contending. So yeah, not bad. I think I told Jake the same. I was like, I think when he, I think this is your trade, right, Jake? I'm not misremembering. Yeah. When you sent this, I was like, yeah, I think that's kind of what you got to do at this point for, you know what I mean? Like at some level, like you're never going to get more value for a player. And so,
Yeah, it hurt. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think you positioned it well. I'm in this like weird zone where I had Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra. I'm done. Anyway, I thought that the build could still compete this year, but I did want to start doing something so that it could have a little bit more flexibility and liquidity moving forward. And this felt like the best way to do it without doing a complete teardown. So I just tore down basically one asset and hopefully turned it into several, is my hope. And yeah, it didn't feel like there was a better time to do it. So what I actually did was I put, we talk about the market price board, for sale board, trade block situation. I added basically all of my elite players. That was Jordan Love, Ashton Janty, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Jalen Hurts basically on there. Majority of them I just said 3 first plus. Send me your best offer. Got a couple of offers, and one guy was willing to keep pushing that value a little bit further. And we got to a point where I felt pretty comfortable with it and was just like, you know what? If I give you your best chance to win this year and I give myself a little bit less of a chance, I'm totally fine with that, just because I didn't feel like my build was exactly where it needed to be this year, just given how fucking piss poor Ashton Janty has been. So yeah, I was kind of like willing to kick it into, 2026 or even 2027 without just completely tanking my whole team. But by doing so, I added points from Kyron and Kelsey, which I think actually elongated my point scoring for this year. And now I just kind of have a little bit of an opportunity to get off of those assets too, if I want to, or if the league, oh my God, the league allows me to. I am done.
We're close. Good explanation. Now, that's kind of what I was trying to get at. So, all right, let's keep it pushing.
DU3. Jake, I'm not going to ramble on all night. DU3, we have DK Metcalf for 27 seconds. I think this is kind of one of those guys where I don't see that he's going to be worth a whole lot more than that moving forward. Unless something drastically changes with what's going on there in Pittsburgh. So I don't know if you get much more. So I'd be down with that. I'd be looking for a 26 second, but Yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cheap for like some contending points. You know,
Sure.
like I don't think that
Okay, maybe.
he's gonna be. We got the cats are distracting me. Is this Killian? This cat?
Killian, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think I'm taking DK over the 27 second. I feel like I could probably get like a second and something else,
And a third
maybe
or-
at some point. Even in the offseason, like some contender is probably going to be into getting Metcalf on their team for at least that price. He's still young enough and still the wide receiver one on this team with a big contract. So yeah, I'll take DK here.
I took DK here.
I was about to say it's another Jake trade. So
yeah, I agree that maybe the circumstances don't align well for him in the next several months for his value to really increase, but I'm not overwhelmingly concerned about his general long-term value just because he is 27. He's going into, hopefully I got this age right. Yeah, he's 27. I just foresee his career probably having some other peaks here. Mm-hmm. And really all it takes for a lot of these wide receivers, especially as they get up into that like late 20s range, is having 3 to 4 weeks of scoring and being able to turn that into probably a late first, being able to trade out an asset from a couple of years from now and potentially turning it into hopefully a higher end asset or about the same value in the next 12 months felt comfortable to me. And I just don't foresee him ever being less than a second in the next 12 months. So if he does, then yeah, I fucked up.
Fair point. In fact, I think you changed my mind. With all your reasoning, I believe I would take DK here. So that doesn't happen very often. So good job.
Love it.
Yeah. Love it. Just want the butt licker to know I won.
Oh God! You can say that with some context. That's his name in the league.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. We have a league mate named the Butt Licker Extraordinaire. I forgot that Uriah's daughter is listening to the pod. I apologize. Just context.
Just meant in general. Just meant in general. That sentence is very like.
It's not me. It's not me. Yeah, let Preston know that. Shout out Preston. Thank you for having your name as that because now I can't repeat. I can't repeat it. So anyway.
It's a great name. It's a great name. It's very, very funny. All right.
Okay, 2 more. DU4, we have Tyler Shuck for a random 28 second, which was the market price board. Yeah, I think that's probably fine. He hasn't looked great. I mean, he hasn't looked terrible, but I don't think he's not the future of that future franchise quarterback of that team. So I think you probably spent a second, maybe a third on Shuck in your rookie drafts, and if you go ahead a couple years later, you get a second back. Like it's just kind of like just a redo.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like you can leverage. I just feel like you can leverage his value of being the starter a little bit more. Personally, 28 so far out. At the very least, bring that in a little bit more.
Sure.
But I'm gonna be shooting for 2 seconds at the very least. I really think you can get that done in the right situation. Somebody who's a contender but has only like 2 QBs or maybe one and lost Penix or something, and that kind of situation, you could probably make it happen. So I want to reach for the stars a little bit with this Shug window we have here.
Yeah, this is a me trade. I'll be really quick. I didn't make any trades with anyone with a profane name. I do apologize for what I said before. Yeah, someone put this on market price board. I think like the biggest thing for me is that I've sold stuff for 2 seconds prior. So I was willing to make this trade. It was also one of those situations where I was willing to get into this asset, knowing that I could probably do more with him in a package trade than I could with the second, all the way out in 2028. So it just felt like I had technically like more value to work with. And so I was willing to cycle it. That being said, Shout out Dan. Dan's the one who posted the market price board. He's also another rebuilder. I think getting Schuff's points off of his team right now is actually in his best interest as he's trying to fight for, I think, the 101. I don't remember exactly like where he's sitting in points, but I think that was the general idea. And just being able to get back to Uriah's point, he's drafted him at the 211 or 212, getting that basically back was really all he wanted, and so I sent that over. So yeah, I think all in all, it was a amicable market price board interaction.
Cool. Last one we have Kamikaze Kirk. I'm assuming we mean Kirk Cousins here, and then T Higgins, and 26/4 for Garrett Wilson and Judy.
This basically feels like Higgins for Garrett Wilson. Like, I know that there's a little bit more going on there, but that's kind of how it feels at the end of the day for me. I'll probably just lean on the Wilson side, I guess. Like, it's tough though, because I really like, you know me, I love Higgins. I think that he certainly can have an opportunity to be on his own at some point, even though that's not in the foreseeable future here. So, yeah, but I do think that the QB situation in New York is going to probably change quickly. Whether that's good or bad or mid, we don't know. But Garrett Wilson's young enough, and I think his value is going to bounce back a little bit more than these other guys. So I'll lean on the Garrett Wilson side. That's just kind of where I fall. What do you think, Jake? Or Uriah? I don't know if I think I just jumped in. Sorry.
It's fine. Again, not knowing exactly, excited to see who did this trade, but maybe the person was banking on making a push for the playoffs, maybe needed a quarterback, needed some points that he's not going to get from Garrett Wilson. So, yeah, go ahead and trade for a starting quarterback for the rest of the season. T. Higgins, who's pretty decent, going to have his better quarterback come back hopefully soon. So I get that move, and I get why you would trade off Garrett Wilson and Judy to do it. But I think it's a pretty fair trade all across. Like, the way you broke it down value wise makes sense.
The one thing I wanted to add is that this trade happened in DU5, which is in its startup year, and this is the 4th time that Garrett Wilson has been traded.
Oh, that's crazy.
We are in November, folks. We drafted on February 22nd. It has been 9 months, and the dude has been fucking traded, excuse my language, 4 times. That's crazy. Like, I have never seen that in my entire life. Like, that is nuts. Yeah. Just really quickly, drafted on February 22nd, was traded on May 6th for, it was a package of Garrett Wilson, Aronde Gadsden Jr., Gunnar Helm for Sam Laporta. And then it was Garrett Wilson for Brandon Ayuk and a 2026 first. It was projected to be early, ended up being my first. Wasn't that early? Oh, maybe it wasn't my first, actually. It's not all about me. Next, it was Pickens, Garrett Wilson, and Bo Nix for Jaden Daniels and RJ Harvey. And then just now, Judy Wilson for Cousins, Higgins, and a 4th. Just really fascinating to kind of see his value also fluctuate. I think it does fluctuate pretty significantly throughout all of those different trades. And yeah, there's a strong chance that he probably doesn't play again this season, even though they say that he is going to come back. It's like, to what extent is he going to return? Is he really going to be fantasy viable? Is it something that we really care about? And in the grand scheme of things, like, can he get traded for a 5th time in this league? Like, I'm so curious. Like, I just don't get it.
Oh, for sure. I definitely think so. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. Yeah, these trades are definitely interesting. The Sam Laporta one is crazy. His value almost like increased and then decreased. It really went like that. Yeah, it really went like that. Super interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, right. Good trade.
Anything else you guys got?
No. Ton of cat convos happening in the in the YouTube chat here. But Lapasaurus hits us with, just got word from the SEC. This pod is now PG-13.
Yeah.
We can see the cats. It's all good. But awesome. All right. Well, thank you for everybody in the chat. Absolutely amazing tonight, including Uriah's daughter. So thank you for the fam hopping in here. Shout out. Thank you, Jake, for powering through. I'm glad my voice held up.
Yeah.
Uriah, you were the best of the bunch tonight, man. You really kept it
You
going.
were. You truly
Kept us
were.
afloat. Yeah, but that's all I got. That's all we got.
All
Hope everyone enjoyed.
Yep. Have a good night, everybody.
Peace out.